Welcome you guys to another episode of Tiger Fire. My name is Danny Pugh, and today we're going to talk about out-of-bounds planets. So this is something that's actually not very well documented, and it's really interesting. So it requires a little bit of a visual. So if you imagine, sometimes during the year, the sun is lower in the sky and higher in the sky depending on the season. Now, if you trace that line throughout the year, the declination would never be more than 23.5 degrees. So that's considered the boundary of the sun. It's basically a strip across the sky where the sun is always inside of. Now, about 90% of the time, all of the other planets stay within that same boundary, but every once in a while, a planet sneaks out of bounds. And it's called an out-of-bounds planet. And what happens when a planet is out of bounds is that it's basically on steroids. It's acting outside of the domain of the sun, literally. So in that context, those planets are going to act exaggerated. So someone who has Mercury out of bounds in their birth chart is somebody who's going to be a very talkative person. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're speaking empty words. They could have a lot of important things to say, but what's guaranteed about a person with Mercury out of bounds is they are going to be talking all of the time. Mars is another out of bounds planet you often see. These type of people have a lot of energy. They don't need much sleep. They can just keep going and going and going. They also tend to be very quick to assert themselves, so sometimes they can come off as a little bit intimidating or aggressive. Another one that you see a little bit less commonly is Venus out of bounds. Venus out of bounds personalities are extremely romantic, almost completely to an outrageous degree. These people can sometimes suffocate their love interest because they just want you to be with them all the time and they just want to do everything together, and it's really sort of intense. That's sort of a signature here. It creates an intense personality. The other one, it's probably one of the more common, is the moon out of bounds. And that's really interesting because there are certain periods of time when the moon is more likely to go out of bounds. For example, around 88, 89, late 60s, the moon was more likely to go out of bounds. You can sort of see throughout history the patches of time where the moon is more likely to go out of bounds, where societal changes were really taking shape. The moon out of bounds creates a very hypersensitive emotional personality. These kind of people, when they're sad, they're really sad. When they're happy, they're really happy. When they're angry, they're really angry. They just feel their emotions on an extreme level. And it's a little bit associated with upheaval culturally when you have these patches of people with out of bounds moons. I find out of bounds planets really interesting. My moon is actually out of bounds. And most of my close friends have out-of-bounds planets, and I think it's because we relate with that intensity. All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video about out-of-bounds planets. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Please leave a comment below if you have any questions, or tweet me at TigerFireGuy, and I will talk to you guys soon.